All 172 champions' Chinese nicknames explained. First, we need to know why champions have nicknames only in China, where the rest of the world have no problem calling them by their names. Here's the thing, at almost every place in the game client where it's supposed to show the champion names, the Chinese servers show their titles instead. This applies to champion collection page, champion selection page, game loading screen, and in-game features. Take a look at this in-game screenshot from a famous Chinese streamer who plays top lane. His on the way pin, which is supposed to show Aatrox in other languages, does not quite show Aatrox in Mandarin or 亚托克斯, but instead is showing 暗翼剑魔, which is the official title, the Darkened Blade, adapted to the Chinese servers, in this case directly translated into the Darkened Blade Demon. If you take a look at the Chinese characters on top of Rumble's health bar, it's also not showing Rumble or Lanbo, instead it's showing 机械公敌, or the Mechanized Public Enemy, official Chinese title adapted from the original title, the Mechanized Menace. Same thing goes to the in-game chat. Instead of showing Swain, Kaisa, and Jace, it's showing the Noxian Grand General, Daughter of the Void, and Defender of Tomorrow, which in this case have the direct translation from the original titles. However, there is one exception. That's when you choose to use a skin, then on the loading screen the title changes to champion name. As you can see, this is Aatrox, this is Jace, and this is Diana. And Kaisa without the skin is still the Daughter of the Void. Because most Chinese titles have more than 3 Chinese characters, it's not very convenient to call the champions by their titles. You don't use Noxian Grand General every time you see a Swain, so nicknames representing each one of them are much needed. Now we know that we need nicknames, but how do those brilliant Chinese players come up with those magical names? Well, it's pretty simple. There are basically 4 categories, from the most direct ones to those which require more deeper level of understandings. First of all, if a champion's official name sounds perfectly fine, then we call the champion directly by their names. Akali, Aksham, Bard, Akali, Akashang, Bade. The second category is also pretty direct, but with a slight variation. If a champion's title represents the champion perfectly, we would use their title or shorten their title to around 2 Chinese characters. For example, the Chinese title of Aatrox I mentioned earlier is the Darkened Blade Demon, so we call him the Blade Demon, 剑魔, which is actually a very commonly used character name in many games. Another example is Darius. His title is the Hand of Noxus, 诺克萨斯之手. We would take the first syllables of Noxus and the hand to make him the Knock Hand, 诺手. The third category requires some basic knowledge of the game, but still kind of easy to understand. If a champion is an animal, we would call that champion by the name of the animal. Ari, fox, Hecarim, centaur, Lilia is little deer. But if a champion is a human and is connected to a very specific element, we would represent that champion with that element. In this case, Brand, Caitlyn, and Illaoi are fireman, female police, and octopus mom. And the final category requires more knowledge to understand because they either come from the lore of League of Legends or they are directly related to Chinese society. For example, Aphelios has a nickname of Chris Wu because the Chinese-Canadian celebrity Chris Wu's Chinese name has a pronunciation of Wu Yifan, which is the same as don't have E, annoying. Another interesting one is a couple between Lux and Shaco. Shaco is understood as a dark and evil character, but in the League of Legends lore, Lux has indirectly killed thousands of Demacians due to her naiveness, which made her technically a more evil character than Shaco, so people would call Lux as Shaco's dark side and Shaco as Lux's bright side. Now that I have mentioned all 4 categories, I can show you all champion nicknames in Chinese. But some champions might have multiple nicknames as the naming process is pretty flexible. I will just show you the most popular ones that everyone has no problem with. If you are wondering how those nicknames are pronounced, I already made a YouTube short series, you can check them out on my homepage. And that's enough for me to say. Please enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.